Water. In Orange County, the average person uses about 100 gallons of water a day. But most of us don't give a second thought to what happens to the water we use after we're done with it.
At the Orange County Sanitation District, we collect, treat, and recycle more than 200 million gallons of wastewater every day, making sure that our families and our communities are kept healthy and safe. If left alone, it takes nature weeks to clean and purify water. But at our plants in Fountain Valley and Huntington Beach, we can do it in as little as 10 to 12 hours.
And we can do it for less than $1 a day for the typical residential customer. There are 5 basic steps: source control, preliminary treatment, primary treatment, secondary treatment, and disinfection. To help you better understand the process, let's take a closer look at each of them. Source control. Source control actually begins long before wastewater ever reaches our facilities. Our source control program works with businesses and industries to monitor what they release into sewers. This lowers the toxicity of the water by decreasing heavy metals from entering our system by almost 90%. Those metals include things like copper, lead, zinc, nickel, and chromium. Greatly reducing these metals means we can more safely recycle the water we treat. Through our educational programs, residents also have a better understanding of how to reduce pollutants in our wastewater. Our outreach programs teach the public how to properly dispose of unused pharmaceuticals, cooking grease, and other products before they ever reach our facilities. Wastewater flows through more than 580 miles of sewer pipes that make up our collection system. When it reaches our plants, the water undergoes a preliminary treatment process. First, we measure flow, pH, and conductivity levels, monitoring for anything out of the normal range. Then we remove trash, debris, and grit, making the incoming wastewater easier to treat and handle. We start by using metal bar screens to remove bigger objects like towels and rags, plastics, household items, and large pieces of food. Materials removed by preliminary treatment are among the few things we cannot recycle, and they are sent to a landfill. Next, the water enters a grit chamber where it is slowed down enough to allow the grit to settle out and be removed. Grit is abrasive material like sand, gravel, eggshells, and coffee grounds that can damage our equipment. After the grit chambers, the water moves on to primary treatment, where it flows into large settling tanks. The water sits in these tanks for about 2 hours, where gravity and density separate waste particles from the water. Heavier particles, called sludge, settle to the bottom. Lighter particles, less dense than water, float to the top. These lighter particles are called scum and consist mainly of oils.
We enhance the settling process by adding chemicals to make waste particles clump together and settle better. This actually increases solids removal efficiency by 75%. Now, the sludge and the scum removed by primary treatment are sent on to digesters for further processing, while the remaining water is pumped on to secondary treatment.
Secondary treatment is where all the action is because the process is actually alive. We use trickling filters or activated sludge processes in secondary treatment. In both methods, there are 2 treatment steps. The first step is biological, where we expose the water to millions of aerobic microorganisms. By maintaining an optimum mixture of oxygen and food, most dissolved organic material is consumed. Because the organic waste is a form of nourishment for the microorganisms, they continually regenerate, giving us an ongoing supply of hard-working allies.
The second step is settling, where the water is sent on to a clarifier, allowing any final particulates to settle out, including the microorganisms. After this step, the treated water is sent to one of two places for final processing before it's recycled back into the environment.
About 100 million gallons of water a day is sent to the Orange County Water District for processing through the groundwater replenishment system. This state-of-the-art facility takes our water and further treats it with microfiltration, reverse osmosis, and UV light and hydrogen peroxide before returning it to the environment. Half of that water is pumped into the ground near the coast to serve as an intrusion barrier, making sure salt water does not seep into Orange County's groundwater basin. The rest of it is pumped to percolation basins in Anaheim, where it naturally filters into the ground to help replenish Orange County's deep underground aquifer. Water that is not sent to the groundwater replenishment system undergoes disinfection before it is released into the ocean. In disinfection, we kill harmful bacteria and pathogens to standards required by state and federal regulators. We dechlorinate the water before sending it to our ocean outfall, a 10-foot diameter pipe that extends 5 miles and 200 feet deep off the coast. There, water is slowly and safely released, causing no harm to the environment.
There are several other important operations that support our wastewater treatment process. The biggest of these is processing and recycling biosolids.
When sludge is removed during the primary and secondary settling processes, we pump it to tanks called digesters. Digesters are like large pressure cookers. In these tanks, we add beneficial anaerobic bacteria that consume harmful bacteria and reduce disease-causing pathogens. To ensure optimal conditions, the digesters must be kept at 98 degrees for an average of 18 days. Then we remove much of the water for easier transport before sending this nutrient-rich material, now known as biosolids, to a loading bay. The biosolids are loaded onto trucks and hauled away to be recycled on farmlands or for further processing to create compost. We also send some of our biosolids to Enertech in Rialto, California, where it is turned into dried pellets that are used as an energy source at a cement manufacturing facility. Biosolids processing also creates a byproduct called digester gas. This digester gas, more commonly known as methane, is recycled and converted to electric energy that powers our central generation facility.
And that creates enough energy to meet about 2/3 of our ongoing electricity needs, saving us more than $6 million a year in power costs.
OCSD also oversees an extensive ocean monitoring program, taking water samples from beaches along 15 miles of the Orange County coastline several days a week. This sampling extends into the ocean, where we test water quality and monitor marine life across 35 square miles on board the Narissa, the district's 60-foot research vessel. These samples are analyzed in our Fountain Valley lab facilities, where we perform 100,000 tests on air, water, sediments, and solids every year.
Wastewater treated at our facilities has the potential to create nuisance odors because hydrogen sulfide forms in our sewer pipes and processing units.
OCSD stops this bad-smelling air from escaping untreated with a variety of control measures, such as covering treatment areas and sealing manhole covers. Before it is released, The foul-smelling air is pumped through biological, chemical, or physical process air scrubbers that function as air deodorizers.
So as you can see, processing wastewater is not a simple job. It requires just the right blend of technology, science, and skilled professionals to run such a complex operation. And here at the Orange County Sanitation District, we are meeting that challenge, doing our part to protect public health and the environment every day.